conduct a short-range.
Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at Star Trek Generations. Yes, I am still on my Star Trek click, just because I haven't played these in years and I'm really quite enjoying it. Generations obviously based on the film of the same name, although interestingly it didn't come out until after First Contact was released, which was the next generation film, if you didn't know. It was released in '97. And I did have a few problems getting it running. I managed to finally get it up and going, but it only runs sometimes. Sometimes it'll be fine, sometimes it'll get to the intro splash screen and then just stop, and the CD-ROM drive in my PC started whirring for some reason. Shut up, you. I'm not using you, you idiot. The nerve. But there has been... it plays fine, it looks fine, and I don't... Can you speak? I remember there being videos, and there are no videos, so that seems to be an issue. But the actual game itself works fine. The video capture, you may have noticed there's something a bit slightly off with it. Yes, the cursor seems to have been magnified by about 3 times its usual size. It's not a problem while you're playing, it's simply something to do with the capture, so I don't know what happened there, but... at least you can see where I'm pointing nice and clear, right? It doesn't feature any upgraded sort of resolutions or anything like that. It is literally just the resolution it released at, so I imagine that's probably got something to do with it. So as a game itself, it has a couple of different components. So you have what you'll mainly be doing, which is wandering around planets, shooting things, solving puzzles with different crew members. You also have space combat, which is kind of like a scaled back version of the final Unity's one. It's you click on the radar to select your targets. You can give like orders to the con as to like close with target or whatever, and then you just shoot the fuck out of it till it blows up. You can choose how many missiles are like loaded, so you can get like big missile spreads if you want them. There are a finite amount of missiles, so you know. You have to sort of manage them a little bit carefully, and obviously the phases go as well. It does a nice job of like putting pretty much everything you need for a space combat on one screen. It's not particularly good. It's not like Legacy or Bridge Commander when it comes to the space combat, but it is serviceable for what it's doing.
Beam him directly to sick bay.
And the other part of the game is stellar cartography. It's sort of a game where you're trying to figure out where Soren's going next to blow up stars. And there is like a time limit on it, so you're trying to manage your time and be efficient. But also, you know, there's quite a leeway that you can deal with. And Soren often turns up, so you go to a planet, oh, Soren's here, you have a quick battle with him, and then he just beams out and goes somewhere else, which is a bit disappointing. But I suppose if you could just disintegrate him with your phaser on, like, the first meeting, it wouldn't be that interesting. Especially as the first meeting he's unconscious, and you could just, like... and like there wouldn't be a game, so I can see what they're doing there. The actual on-foot gameplay is quite good. It graphically reminds me a little bit of Marathon. I haven't played Marathon, but I've seen videos on it, and it does remind me of that. It is nice that you can pick up enemy weapons and use them. So you can use the Klingon disruptors and Romulan disruptors, and I guess just various disruptors. Interestingly though, that although you have a melee attack if you don't have a weapon equipped, I couldn't find any Klingon weapons to pick up. I would have thought that would have been a shoo-in, but apparently it wasn't. But there you go. Generally speaking, you can pick up power packs and recharge your weapons, because they do have like a finite sort of energy bar, so essentially reload them. Or you can pick up just another one of them, because there's bodies everywhere, unless you disintegrate them, and then there's nothing to pick up, which was unfortunate in the gameplay that you're seeing, because I put the phaser on slightly too high of a setting, and one of the first Romans you meet has a tricorder, which sort of you can analyze and get clues out of, and I ended up vaporizing both him and his tricorder like a Chad. So there you go. Oops. So you have to be careful, but if you stun them too lightly, they just get back up again. So it's a real sort of like, I'm kind of like, I want to kill you so you don't get back up again, because if you stun them and try and like pilfer stuff off their bodies, they just get back up. So that's not a goer. So we got to kill them. but we got to kill them in a way that doesn't cause them to just disintegrate and take everything with them. So, little bit of care. You obviously have hyperspace and stuff like that. It's a little bit confusing because it is the early days of FPS, so like the mouse look isn't a thing. I did rebind the keyboards to be slightly more current, but you're still turning with like A and D and strafing with Q and E, and of course looking up and looking down is like page up, page down, so it's imprecise.
Warning.
And generally speaking, you won't bother. You'll just be like, well, I know it's here somewhere, so you'll just like wander around until you direct over the body you want to loot, that sort of thing. But as I said, it's a 97 game, so it is what it is. It is sort of, it wasn't sort of groundbreaking at that time, but
I can't open the door from here.
It's perfectly serviceable. The cast are there, certain ones anyway. I don't think everybody is in the game. But certainly people like Picard and Worf and Data, all there voiced by their appropriate actors, which is, great. That's exactly what we want. Has some good music in it, very evocative of like the series. I don't think it's actually from the series. I think it is original, but it is very evocative of that sort of style of music. So it actually feels a little bit sort of more accurate to the show than it does the movie, because the movie was just... It really looked and felt like, yes, this is the movie version, rather than this is just the ship that you've spent 7 years watching on a big screen. It was like, no, we have to have fancy lighting and all this, not just this even lighting from the show, but we have to, like, in 10.4 where they buy Amagos and Data's trying out these different drinks and stuff. It really sort of didn't look like Next Generation, because we've been in 10.4 so many times and it was just... It looked completely different, so it was almost a different ship. Well, I hope it was a different ship because it had fucking glass windows.
To kill even unarmed innocents.
They're transparent aluminum, pal. They don't shatter when you crash. They might bend, but certainly not shatter.
Enterprise.
This is one of the few games to make mention of the Chodek, who were introduced in Final Unity. So they are a species in the game, as I think the Star Trek Breath of the Federation was the other. So very limited appeal for the Chodek, poor lads. Oh well, they weren't that interesting, to be honest, so whatever. But Star Trek Generations, I mean, it came out...
What happened here?
Really late. I mean, the First Contact was out by the time this came out. So it really wasn't sort of jumping on the appeal of the movie, it was more just jumping on the appeal of Next Gen anyway. So, I mean, it wasn't particularly well reviewed. I think it was kind of like meh review. It was like sort of middle ground. Some places liked it better than others. Mostly people that were Star Trek fans sort of working for reviewers liked it more than people that weren't Star Trek fans, which is kind of like to be expected. I mean, it's a middling game, but your mileage may vary depending on your devotion to Trek anyway, which is, it's pretty much the same with everything else, but certainly with Star Trek it's a thing. I mean, I will forgive a lot in Star Trek games because it's Star Trek and I'm getting to do Star Trek stuff.
Think this is
so I like that.
We'll need some kind of key.
But outside of that, it's decent. I mean, they do gamify it a lot. It's like in the movie when they come to Amagosa and find Soren, it's in the aftermath of an attack. In the game, obviously, the attack is still going, so you can shoot people, and it's the Romulans who have come to find out where their trilithium went. And you have to, like, divert the probe that's going to destroy the Amagosa star. I can't remember how to do that, although I do remember having done it previously, but I couldn't remember this time around, so I was just like, well, I've changed the course, but I don't think I actually locked the course in, and so it blew up the star anyway. So I was like, oh, okay then. What happened in the movie? So I'm just, it's canon. I'm just being faithful. Whatever. So Star Trek Generations, definitely a good play. It comes on 2 CDs.
Graviton inverter.
I think the patch I used to try and get it running sort of eliminated the CDs entirely from it. So there's that. But I mean, it wouldn't even install initially. The installer was just like, oh, I don't work on this version of Windows, piss off. Because it has no knowledge of Windows 11 from 97. I'm stunned. So I had to get around that. But I think that was the main problem with it. It just runs slightly inconsistently. Like I thought it was like it had to be run first before you run
unusual.
anything else when you boot your system. Like if you ran something else, maybe that stopped it from working. No, that wasn't the case. It's just very temperamental in terms of how often it runs. I think it's about 50-50 from what I've
Everything
seen.
looks okay here.
So if it doesn't run the first time, try it again. It'll probably run this time. So that is my little look back at Star Trek Generations. It does, in fairness, follow the movie rather accurately. I mean, you have like all the locations from the movie and stuff, and the ending's different. But the Enterprise still ends up on the planet, so yeah, whatever. But
Get him to sickbay.
it does gamify it, as I said, because obviously there's not a whole bunch of action. I mean, you get to fight one bird of prey and cower behind some equipment while Soren's shooting at you, and then have a punch up with Soren at the end of the movie, and I think that's about it. That would make for such a good game, so you can appreciate what they're doing. They just don't want their player to be sat there and be like, I have nothing to do. Other than dick around with planets on stellar cartography, which features way more in the game than it did in the movie. They were very high on the stellar cartography set, I guess. It was an interesting set, and it kind of made it in a Voyager as well, although in a much different format.
That looks like the last of the survivors. Now to find.
But yeah, you know, so like Worf goes on an undercover operation and stuff like that to find Soren in a Klingon base, which inevitably is maze-like, and I get bored, so I start shooting all the Klingons rather than being undercover. But you know, it's Worf. Screw it, he should be shooting things, not sneaking around. Worf works better as a psychopath in my opinion. Anyway, guys, I think I'll leave it for there for now. I haven't checked out how much it is on eBay, actually. Maybe we should do that before I sign off. Yes. PC, eBay. Okay. Okay, so it looks like it's going from between £10 and £30. Although there's a sealed one for 114, but I probably won't pay that much for it, if I'm honest. It seems like a little bit too much. I mean, it's a decent game, but it's not fantastic. There are certainly better Star Trek games out there, and you know, it's more for those really interested in Star Trek and just flat-out completionists that want like the whole range. And if you're looking to get the whole range of Star Trek games, my God, you're going to be a while. There's so many on so many different systems. I might bring up a few. I've got a few on different systems as well as, you know, PC, but I have a few of the older ones left. So there's no end in sight for the Star Trek ride. So if you're getting bored by it, I'm sorry, but they're gonna keep coming because I'm enjoying the fuck out of it. I am getting something new for Christmas, although it's not that new. So I'll probably review it, but it's not going to be like a timely review, so it probably won't do very well. Although that's not a huge concern, because if I monetized, I'd just annoy you all with adverts and make about 4p a year if I'm lucky, so I don't think that's worth it. Anyway, guys, take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.